In other words, all the religions, all the philosophies, everything prior to the Nazi era, which was only 12 years, 1933 to 1945. Look how much damage they did in that short period of time. But the Weltanschauung, the Nazi Weltanschauung or worldview, meant everything else was irrelevant. Only thing was Hitler, the Nazi Third Reich, and what the Fuhrer said. That's the only thing that mattered. And they ran like a bulldozer over everything else, including the church. Just like the Democrat Socialist Party is doing today.
Yes.
Exactly, and they used executive authority to do that, didn't they? They changed the Weimar Republic to this dictatorship by the stroke of a pen.
Absolutely. And Janice, you really, it's so good to see. I didn't know that you were, you're part of the team at Dale, and I want to say congratulations and welcome. They got a really good person. And
Thank you.
You're very a great student of history. I always love listening to you and talking to you. Yes, one of the things that Hitler did when he came to power, shortly after he came to power on January 30th, 1933, incidentally, almost concurrently with FDR. That's a whole other story. You have to get me on the show for that. Because the way we judged Hitler, we didn't judge FDR for doing some of the same things. Matter of fact, he actually inspired Hitler in many of his fascist policies, including the so-called concentration camps, which FDR did to the Japanese. He just called it internment camps.
Right.
So you see, it's just insane. But one of the things he did shortly after coming to power in January 1933, Janice, was he basically enacted martial law called the Enabling Acts, okay? And what he did was he blew up. I'm just going to basically say we don't have 100% proof that he did it, but there's an old expression, a Latin expression called cui bono, who benefits. How could you explain 3 weeks after coming to power the Reichstag or the Parliament? That'd be like, Obama coming to power, in 2009, and in February of, February 20th, 2009, Congress blows up, where we make all our laws. It just would be incredible, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Well, that's what happened with Hitler. The Reichstag blew up. I think him and Goering actually blew it up.
Yes.
And why did they do it? So that it would cause the society to be thrown into chaos and anarchy. Mm-hmm. And then what do? You need a strong man to come in, demand martial law, and he basically proclaimed himself dictator for life, which is what he did.
And that's exactly what's happening in our country with the conflux of all these different issues that are coming together to create such a tension in this country that our illustrious leaders say we need martial law.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and this echoes an aphorism by Heinrich Himmler, Hitler's second in command, who said, "The best political weapon is the weapon of terror. Mm-hmm. Cruelty commands respect. Men may hate us, but we don't ask for their love.
That's right.
Only for their fear."
That's right.
Yep.
And that's what we see today. You're right.
Machiavelli.
That's right. See, I love you, Jen. I didn't say that, but it's right out of Machiavelli. Yep. It's better to be loved than to be feared.
Matter of fact, here, I want to play one more thing. Now, if I don't agree, I absolutely disagree that Ben Carson need to apologize, but we can see that the president he's not going to apologize, but this is something that he said that I think that's more radical than what Ben Carson said, and he did not apologize. Derek, if you could play number 5 for me, please.
I recognize that resorting to force may be tempting in the face of the rhetoric and behavior that emanates from parts of Iran. It is offensive. It is incendiary. We do take it seriously. But superpowers should not act impulsively in response to taunts or even provocations that can be addressed short of war. Just because Iranian hardliners chant "death to America" does not mean that that's what all Iranians believe. In fact, it's those
propaganda, folks, but we'll get to that in a minute.
In fact, it's those hardliners who are most comfortable with the status quo. It's those hardliners chanting "death to America" who've been most opposed to the deal. They're making common cause with the Republican caucus.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Derek.
This president, and we were born, Dale, I'm not sure if you knew this, we were born actually, he's 6 weeks older than I am. So we were literally almost born on the same day. And 27 years ago, we attended Harvard together. I didn't know him at the time, thank God.
Yeah.
I would have to
well, didn't nobody know him?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was basically a creation of Soros, and it's amazing that he was able to get this far. But this is another. What he said just reminds me of another quote that Hitler said: "Make the lie big, make it simple. Keep saying it, and eventually they will believe it." I mean, to equate conservative, the loyal opposition. We only got a few.
Yeah.
And those few was able to throw out that bum, John Boehner, out of office. So it just shows you power of a few. And so thank God for those loyal Tea Party caucus. Only about 25 members. They so small they had to hijack Ted Cruz from the Senate to come over to be their leader. That's how small they were. And look what they did. So don't give up, America. Be strong. And even though you're few in number, you're great in power. But, for Obama to equate the conservatives with the hardliners in Iraq that wants to do a deal to stab Israel, our closest ally, in the back is really the height of hypocrisy. And it's outrageous.
Yeah. Can you believe he would say something like that? The ones that chant, now this is where the propaganda come in at. The ones that chant death to America. You know, the ones that, it's not that all Iranians, that's not all Iranians how they feel. Well, it don't have to be all of them. That's the leadership that's leading this.
Right.
These chants to America. That's who's leading that right there. But, Ellis, we have Gary from Hazel Park that wanted to ask you a question. If you can get Gary on, please, Derek. Good morning, Gary.
Hey, Ellis. It's not so much a question, but...
Okay.
These progressives, they want to erase 1,400 years of history when it comes to Islam and their treacherous moves across the planet. With a few pretty words, they think they can usher in the age of Aquarius.
Okay, what you wanted to say to and that respond there, Professor Washington?
Yes, I mean it's right. They have. I mean, the Democrat Party goes back, most people don't realize this, to 1800s. They've been around a long time, and they've been on the wrong side of history at every single turn. And just because, say, for example, 1964, that famous iconic handshake after the signing of the Civil Rights Amendment in 1954 by LBJ and MLK, they thought they could just wipe away 200-plus years of torture and brutality and slavery and denying women's rights, and all these things that they're championing now, they were the ones against it. See, if we had followed the natural law, original philosophy, the framers didn't want slavery. They only had to allow it in at the beginning of the country because in order to get enough of the states, 9 out of the 13, to pass the Constitution. They didn't want it, but they had to do it because the evil Democrats from day one, year zero, was for it. And so now they're trying to rewrite history. They thought, well, a handshake with Martin Luther King will wipe away 250 years of genocide against black people and Indians. No, it won't. We remember history. We on this great program that you have, Dale, and on Joshua's show that we have here, we're recalling history, and we're holding the Democrat Party's feet to the fire, and we're showing their fingerprints through the ages. That's why the title of my book, the subtitle is called History of Liberal Fascism Through the Ages, because I want to tie in the historical connections that the Democrat Party, who I call Holocaust Democrats, have done from time immemorial.
Yes. Okay, so folks, if you want to get that book, you can go to elliswashington.com. Again, elliswashington.com.
Ellis Washington Report.
I'm sorry?
elliswashingtonreport.com.
I'm sorry, you're right, elliswashingtonreport.com. elliswashingtonreport.com. This is a must-have book. He has all this documented. We're going to have Ellis on again this later on before the year is out a couple more times, because you have another book that you're in the process of writing also, right?
Actually, it's 2 books that have just come out.
Okay.
They're not public yet. I have to sell 50 copies of each volume. It's called The Progressive Revolution.
Okay.
History of Liberal Fascism Through the Ages, volumes 3 and 4. And the best way to get it, you can go to my website, elliswashingtonreport.com, but even better way, if you go to my article series on renewamerica.com, at the end of every one of my articles, you will see the information on how you can get the book. So help me get that 50 copies of each volume, listeners of Dale's show, and we would love to be able to make it officially on the market.
All right, great. Thank you very much for getting up with us this morning. I know you have to go to work yourself.
Yeah, they peeking at me. They want me to come on in and say the prayer.
Absolutely. So we'll be listening. Thank you very much for getting up this morning with us, Ellis.
Thank you, Dale and Janice. I look forward to coming back on your show anytime you want me.
Thank you, Ellis.
Thank you.
Hey, God bless.
All right, God bless. All right, this is from the Washington Beacon. It says, this is Stephen Hayes. He said that Cook intel on Islamic State could be the biggest scandal of Obama's presidency. Rush Limbaugh, he referenced that the European refugee crisis is a massive invasion of Muslims. Here, what else? These are things that we're not going to be able to get to, folks. But it says German refugee crisis spiraling out of control. These are things that we're not able to get to, but we want you to go to our website at artofmichigan.com, artofmichigan.com. You can listen to the show later on. But, folks, number one, we need your help. If you like this show, would you consider making a monthly commitment? If you would, we're very appreciative. Did you want to say something, Mayor Daniels?
Well, I don't know how much time I have left, but I always like to end with a quote.
We're out of time.
I guess I don't have much time. Goodbye, everybody.
Roundtable discussions by mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil and Del at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.